Texas quarterback Arch Manning, UCLA quarterback Nico Iamaleava have one thing in common. They fumbled the bag in week 1.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parson. I'm an NFL draft analyst with Bleacher Report. That's my guy, Keith Sanchez. He's a director of scouting with the Draft Network and 2019 national champion with those LSU Tigers. And as always, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and everyday shopping our everydayers. Guys, we're breaking down some of the action from week 1 of college football over the weekend. We're getting to bag fumblers, guys who kind of dropped their stocks after week 1, those money makers who've raised their stocks and we're going to give out the game ball, or maybe I have a game ball or 2 to give out. But before we get into that, today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Bag fumblers, Keith, and there's a couple quarterbacks that did not play well in week 1, and it's just week 1, and we're not going to do like everybody on the Twitter sphere, lose their minds and overreact.
And be totally out on people.
Yeah, no. But we just call it, hey, listen, you hurt yourself this week, and I think, Keith, you got to start with Arch Manning. He had to start with him, and it just was a situation where we know, like you called him out. You was like, I'm not going to run from this DP. He is your make a statement player of the week. You said that on Friday. And it was just some fact that not only like you start the season off with the preseason hype, the name, all the stuff. I think you said a couple weeks ago, you was like, listen, the floor for you is to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, you don't really have that opportunity to not play well and not have people for people not to overreact from it. And in a game on the road against Ohio State, he looked like a freshman to me. Like he looked young. Like, you know what I mean? And it was just kind of, and I tweeted, I was like, guys, what are your expectations? Because yeah, he started 2 games last year. I didn't realize he did not start any game. Like both of those games were at home. He didn't start on the road. So this is his first time on the road. I think somebody they tweeted out, somebody had the decibel meter on the sideline when the crowd was going, and it was like ridiculous, right? Like, and so I'm like, yeah, and I could, for those who don't know, I was at the Clemson LSU game. Yeah, when the Clemson's crowd was really going at the beginning of that game, like Garrett Nussbaum had to call 2 timeouts because they couldn't communicate. So it's like you feel for those quarterbacks trying to make audibles and checks, and the crowd is not giving you, like, you don't have the opportunity to do that because you can't tell your ex-receiver who's way out there, hey, we're changing your route without hand signals. He just looked young. I think the thing with him, it was the mechanics that bothered me. It was like, man, I was expecting him to play more mechanically sound. He tried, there was a throw to Ryan Wingo on the crosser. He sidearms it, doesn't step into the throw. His feet are static. They're not lined to the target, and it's thrown behind him, right? He did have, I'll give him this. He did have the throw, I think it was a touchdown throw, and then he threw one, I'm not going to, it's the last name, but it looked like Eli's throw at Mario Manningham against the Patriots down the left sideline.
Yeah.
Absolute dime. And I was like,
Yep.
Jesus, like that. This is what we want to see from you from a full game, Arch. Give me a little bit more of that. But yeah, he just didn't play up to standard, up to the expectations, I'd rather say.
Yeah, so I had a lot of thoughts about this. Just watching Arch, and obviously we'll cover him because I know that's what the people want to hear, right? Like this guy was number 1 overall in a lot of mock drafts. And I have a mock draft out, and it became the decision of, do we have a world where we ever see a Manning not go QB1? Right. Like
Right.
that's the question. And that's how much weight is on his shoulders. That going top 10, like we said, not only the floor, that's a disappointment.
Facts.
Right? To go top 10 and not be the number 1 overall quarterback. But with Arch, the way I view the DP, he did make mistakes. But it also looked like that chemistry between Sarkisian and him was
not there.
It just, he wasn't calling the plays that Arch needed in those moments, right? The get me going plays. And that's not to take any thing off of Arch, because there was sometimes it looked like the game was moving too fast for him and he was holding on to the football and things like that. And he made a couple bad decisions. So I look at that and I definitely put him as a bag fumbler, just because now you raise the question of where do you go, right? Like, and then now does the shift happen back to, oh, he's going to be a 2027 prospect. And that's what people are going to see, just based totally off of this game, because it's going to be very difficult for people to put at QB3 in their mock drafts and everything else. It's just it's a lot that comes with it. And to be completely honest, we may be in uncharted territories, in the sense of the fact that this may be something that we've never seen before. And we've seen Mannings get drafted. But my point is that what if he doesn't go number 1 overall? Or what if he's not this number 1 overall pick? Then we have other question marks.
100%. And I think, like you said, people tweeting there out. Twitter was a wild place, what I mean, during that game.
And that's my point, that when his uncles came out, right? Like, there was no Twitter, right? In 2002 and
we talked about this. Like, Peyton threw like 28 interceptions in like second or third year in the league, and he went on to have a great career. Nobody called for his job. You know what I mean? Because it was no social media.
Today's NFL,
bro. You throw 20 interceptions in the NFL season. Yeah, year 3, like, it was like, all right, we're drafting a new guy next year. Like, we're done here. But can I go to another quarterback real quick? And that's Nico Iamaleava. Like, at home debut, late night, West Coast game against Utah, and it just did not go well. He had an interception, thrown on I believe it was a screen, and he just kind of he overthrew it and threw it right to the linebacker. Then you had the situation where I think the game was 6-0. I think Utah had a 1-score lead on them, and they called the right concept. They had, I think it was a slot receiver up the seam, wide open, and he overthrew him. And it's just what I saw from Nico was a guy that he has the arm strength, and that goes back to the conversation we always have, Keith. Arm strength compared to arm talent. He doesn't have the arm. He doesn't have control of it yet. And I think this is a guy you're looking at like, man, he may need a year in this offense, in this system, to really be able to find himself and maybe not think about the 2026 NFL draft. Now, if he goes out and balls up the next 11 games and they get to the bowl game or CFP, all right, things change. But I believe he just had a rough night. He had a rough night against Utah, especially on the same field as a quarterback in Devin Dampier, who played well. Devin Dampier, total different skill sets and height. He's 5'11", 204, and Nico's 6'5", you know what I mean? And uber athlete, big arm, all the stuff like that. But it just was a rough game for Nico Iamaleava.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I paid for watching that game, right? Because I was tired. Come Sunday morning, I was up watching that game all night. But I wanted to watch Nico. And he's somebody that we've previewed, we've highlighted. Hey, pay attention to this young man because he has the arm strength, right? To make the throws. I think for Nico, DP, and you talk about bag fumblers, do you continue to fumble the bag? And what I mean is that UCLA didn't look good. They got whooped as a team collectively, right? So in the Big Ten, DP, where do they rank, right? Because the way Utah beat them is the way a lot of Big Ten teams. Yeah, they're a lot of Big Ten teams play, right? Run game, quarterback that make a couple plays, tough defense, the trenches. That sounds like the entire Big Ten. So I don't know if Nico can climb himself out of this hole with just his play, because I'm not sure how talented this UCLA team is overall. So that's the way I view the Nico situation.
No, I'm with you, Keith. Somebody else that fumbled the bag, and I watched this in person. It was linebacker Wade Woodaz for Clemson. He had a rough night against that LSU. Shout out to LSU's coaching staff. We'll talk about Garrett Nussmeier and Cade Klubnik on tomorrow's show when we break down our top 10 QBs. But the run game, and I tweeted out, I was like, you're going to have a hard time running at them. You're trying to run at DeMonte Capehart and Peter Woods and TJ. No, that was not. They tried it early. They failed. Then they started one of the first runs was they tried to run at him. They created a lane, and Wade Woodaz filled it, made contact, and fell right off the running back.
Oh, yeah, it was the first drive of the game. Yep.
Spun off and got 25 yards. Now I was just all right, Wade. But after that, Keith, it was also to me, the IQ of like you got yourself blocked in situations you weren't supposed to get yourself blocked in. Like LSU, shout out to the coaching staff, Brian Kelly and that offensive coaching staff did such an amazing job scheming things up, and they attacked the perimeter. They got outside a lot. The stretch zone, different things like that. And when your linebacker, like Sammy Brown, who's a true sophomore, played much better than Wade Wood has. This was a bad game for Wade. Missed tackles, misreads, bad decision-making when attacking the line of scrimmage. He gave up the edge a lot when you're supposed to be spilling outside and tracking the football.
Yeah, I agree with DP. Let's do this, man. We've talked about the guys who lost themselves a couple of dollars, lost a little stock, right? Stock down a little bit. Now let's talk about the guys who made themselves some money makers, guys who stock elevated this past weekend. Let's get into it. Coming up next.
The NFL season is back. There's nothing better than being in the stadium, surrounded by fans, cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices, jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. And that's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Game Time is fast, easy, and backed by Game Time guarantees. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go. Download Game Time today. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. The NFL season is almost here, and FanDuel is making sure you're ready for kickoff with their can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 back in bonus bets to use freely across the app. Now, I want to make sure you heard me. Let's repeat that. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you get $300 back in bonus bets that you can use freely across the app. Now, this is a deal you don't want to miss. From same-game parlays to jumping into the live action, if you are ready, say you're ready. So are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. Again, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet. Money makers, aka stock up. Keith, I go right to Alabama's wide receiver, Germie Bernard, 6'1", 204. And yeah, Bama didn't win that game, and they didn't look like Bama in that game, right? Against Florida State. But Germie Bernard had a day. He had himself a day. 12 targets, 8 receptions, 146 yards receiving, average over 18 yards per catch. And it was crazy to think about, Keith, because if you hear that stat line, the first name you would think about is, man, this is a stat line for Alabama receiver. You're thinking it'd be Ryan Williams. But like Ty Simpson just wasn't able to get the ball consistently to Ryan Williams, but he was able to get it to his bigger body wide receiver and Germie Bernard. And this is a guy that scouts have a day 2 grade on. I know I had a late second round grade on coming off of summer scouting, and I like what I've seen from him. The yards after catch, route running, he's well patient. Plays with good patience and tempo, man. Again, no matter what happens with Alabama's season, if he continues to play well, he's going to start raising his stock amongst the NFL draft community, just inch by inch, piece by piece, brick by brick.
Yeah, and DP, he might have been the one bright spot, right? Because I think not only did Jeremiah Smith with Ohio State have a couple of drops, and I know that was viral moments, but I believe Ryan Williams had a drop or two too. Both of those young guys looked, they didn't look themselves. It might have just been a lot of preseason hype gotten to them and things like that, right? Just pressing a little bit.
They on the cover of the video game, Keith. Yeah. CFB 26. They on the cover.
Yep, 100%. I'm gonna look at this, man, and we talked about this. Was that last week? And I made the statement. I'm like, DP, this running back conversation is wide open, And I want to give a couple guys credit, right? Washington running back Jonah Coleman, I believe he went 24 carries for 177 yards. He had himself a day. Justice Haynes, the transfer, right? He transferred to Michigan.
From Bama?
Yep. He transferred from Bama to Michigan. He has 16 rushes for 159 yards and 3 touchdowns. And then who was the last guy? Oh, from Ohio State transfer. They covered him talking about CJ Donaldson, transfer from a smaller school to Ohio State.
Virginia.
Yeah, he didn't have a great statistical game. I think it was still at 3.5 yards a carry. But I liked what I seen to say he was going against a tough Texas defense. So I think when he faced lower competition, this is a guy that's going to string together some 100+ yard games. And if you become the guy at Ohio State, then the question is, how high do you go now, right? In that 100%. Conversation. So wanted to highlight those 3 running backs as I believe guys that made themselves some money because we said this running back situation is still wide open.
Yeah, I think especially with CJ Donaldson being 6'2", 232, like you said, when you start playing, like he ran physical, he ran hard against Texas, who we know is like their defense is laden with NFL talent. You start playing some not so talented teams or not as physically gifted teams, yeah, you're gonna start seeing 130, 150 yards rushing from the 230-pound running back, and yeah, he transferred from West Virginia, and it's crazy. I never realized he was 230. Like I don't know. I always felt like because I felt like he just moved a little differently at West Virginia and everything, but 6'2", 232, like 19 carries, 67 yards rushing, and a touchdown. Like he helped keep Julian Sayin from having to shoulder the entire offense. Like when you could just run the ball, like time of possession, killing clock, running clock down. Okay, if we got to punt it, cool, right? Trust our defense, but it keeps your quarterback from making those bad mistakes. So shout out to CJ Donaldson. Keith, I'm gonna go to I'm gonna go to my guy here, man, Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson, like, and for those who be like, well, DP, come on, man, that's low hanging fruit. What are we talking about? Like, he played Northern Arizona. You're right, he did play Northern Arizona, but he did what he was supposed to do. Like, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. And if this is a sign, Keith, sign me up for it. 16 targets, 12 catches, 141 yards receiving, and 2 receiving touchdowns. I'm gonna tell you something. Like target shares are crazy out the gate because typically I think you talked about this, like when you're playing small schools or schools that are not on your level, you typically want to beat them up in the run game, drain the clock, and get up out of there. Yep. Arizona State said, "Nah, we're about to throw the ball and we're going to throw it a lot straight to our number 1 wide receiver to Jordan Tyson." It was one play they threw he was lining in a slot. They threw a slot screen, and then he took it up the middle of the defense between the hashes for a touchdown. He started celebrating at like the 5-yard line, but there was defenders still closing around him. But I was like, the speed and burst just was different. Like he's just pulling away. I was like, these guys are not going to close quick enough. And the throw, I think it might have been on the fade route from Sam Levitt, just tracking the ball over his left shoulder, like looking at it, brought it in I think he got 2 feet in bounds for the touchdown. Like they just did not have an answer for him. And again, if you're going to be seeing, I'm not gonna lie, I want to see. I want him to get 10 targets a game. Like I want to see, especially once you get in the Big 12 competition. No, I want 12 targets a game. Like I want 10 to 12 targets a game for sure. Give him the target share. And I said this. No Cam Scatterboo. Cam Scatterboo was the heartbeat of this offense last year, right? Now Cam Scatterboo's gone. Like Sam Levitt's going to target Jordan Tyson. He's going to target him a lot, and teams are going to have to figure out: do we go to an NFL style coverage shell and double this man and just take him out of the progression and leave somebody else one-on-one? And like, it's that kind of old adage in basketball. Do I want LeBron to have 30, 10 rebounds and 15 assists, or do I want LeBron to score 50? It's like, well, I'd rather you score 50 than you scoring 35 and getting those 15 assists. Like, because that's even more points, right?
Everybody else getting involved.
Yeah, I'd rather, or it's a situation where, you know what, do we take you out and make the other guys beat us, where you score 15, but you trying to dish the rock around? Like, it's that type of argument. Do you trust your defense against everybody else? Jordan Tyson absolutely did what he was supposed to do. Like, I'm happy Because if he didn't go out there and play well, people are like, is he really wide receiver 1? He went out there and dominated. I'm happy to see it.
Yep. And DP, I'm gonna wrap this up with my guy. I'm gonna go with Dante Moore, quarterback from Oregon. And I liked what I seen on film. And they beat, was it North Dakota, South Dakota? It wasn't a big time opponent, right?
No,
it was and it was got bad pretty early. But I think when you're talking about seeing him throw the football, DP, he had a fake. It was almost like a fake wide receiver screen where the tight end kind of leaks out. And Sadiq, he kind of he dropped it. I can't say he kind of. It hit his hands. But to see him thread the needle, I was like, oh, man. And he has a live arm. And I'll say this, that the arm talent, for those who like Dylan Gabriel, and we thought Dylan Gabriel, he probably went right in the range of what we thought, right? He's somewhere around the third-ish round quarterback. Dante Moore has a more live arm. The ball jumps off his arm. And you're talking about him being a draft eligible player. Is this a young man we need to start paying attention to? Because on the other side of the football on the other side of the coin is that I didn't even realize Oregon went and got 2 transfer offensive tackles, right? Everybody talks about Isaiah World, but the other offensive tackle is also a transfer. They've invested into the trenches. Micaiah Hughes, I think, is the Tulane running back. I think he was second string yesterday. I don't even think he was the starter. So this is a team that's going to be there in contention. And you talk about the recipe of him playing good football, having a live arm, right? Having a lot of action, throwing the football all around the field. And then does that create draft hype, right? And I could see this with this young man, and he's draft eligible. I believe he's a red shirt.
6'3", 205 pounds. No, he could be that dark horse that nobody's counting on in this class.
Nobody talking about. Yep.
That pops up out of nowhere, like he's declaring, and he's a first-round pick.
Yep, 100%. So we'll see how that goes. But DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing. Matter of fact, let me say Coach DP. Coach K, we about to make our appearance. Y'all know what we do, man. We hop in the locker room. We hand out game balls. We doing that coming up next.
This episode is presented by Yahoo Fantasy. This year, I'm playing fantasy football on Yahoo Fantasy, and you should too, whether you're a first-timer or a veteran creating your millionth league. With the season kicking off on September 4th, now is the time to start playing Yahoo Fantasy Football, which offers so many fun ways to compete. You want more ways to play? Try the brand new Yahoo Fantasy Guillotine League mode, where the lowest scoring team gets eliminated weekly until one team is left standing. Want to play instantly with friends? Try the new Draft with Friends mode. Do you prefer the classics? Get your team together, your crew together, and go head-to-head in private leagues. You don't have a crew? That's no problem. Join a public league, and that's the easiest way to play. The NFL season kicks off September 4th, so don't wait. Start your league now. Go ahead and draft right now, guys. Draft now at yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. That's yahoofantasy.com/lockedonnfl. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean and easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet, because who wants to do that? Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. Again, use the code LOCKEDONNFL at Monarch Money in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNFL. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout for being our everydayers. Coach K, Coach DB, walking into the locker room, handing out the game balls from week 1 of college football. Keith, I have 2. I have 2 game balls I'm handing out. I'm starting the season off being a generous man and a generous coach. Keith, I'm going to Florida State first off. The Thomas Castellanos. Just what he was able to do. Like, for one, if you're going to talk that talk, you better back it up, right? Like he talked a lot of smack, during the offseason about that Florida State team and how what was the quote? The quote was, "They don't have Nick Saban to save them anymore."
Yeah.
And like to say something like that, and then I mean, of course, that was a soundbite that the Bama defenders talked about. I think the SEC media day and stuff like that, and it was like, oh well, that disrespect will be addressed and all stuff like that. Well, he was 9 of 14. He only attempted 14 throws, 9 of 14, 152 yards, average 11 yards per attempt. But then he also, will contribute on the ground, as we know he does as a runner as well. He had 18 carries, 80 yards rushing, and the touchdown. And he also what he didn't do, Keith, is he didn't turn the ball over. He protected the ball. And he was just a playmaker for his offense. I think for him, it was a simple fact of the team rallied around him and his comments, and then he understood, I got to play with a chip on my shoulder because I got to back this up. And he said it was no disrespect. I'm just trying to light a fire under my guys going into this game, and I respect that wholeheartedly. I don't know what his NFL future looks like, to be completely honest. But I mean, because he could have maybe a Kyler Murray-esque type of career, like, you know what I mean? He's a really good athlete. I think he's got a good arm and everything, but it's like we got to get you with a coach that's going to willing to buy into it, because I think he's listed at like 5'10".
Yeah, he listed at 5'10",
5'11". Yeah, 201. So maybe, but shout out to him. I give him my first game ball of week 1, and then I'll go to LSU. Keith.
Let me
go ahead.
Because I'm gonna go ahead, hop in the locker room too, and he's gonna end up with 2 game balls because I'm giving him game balls. And we talked about this Friday, DP, and we set the stage and we said that, listen, even if this Florida State team is more talented than unranked, Alabama, you cannot lose to this team because they are unranked, right?
Unranked.
And what Thomas Castellanos did, he gave Florida State hope again. They feel like we're back. They feel like that was a 1-year blip, right? That was off of the radar. And I know you read his passing stats, but I don't know. Did you read his rushing?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, yeah. And so with his rushing stats being there, DP, he was able to just simply control the game, right? Like it rained for almost a half of football, right? So obviously it's gonna be hard to throw the football, but just his threat with his leg, you can tell how, and I'll use this term, it changed the math, right? It changed what Alabama could do and what they had to be accountable for. And he just became a overall playmaker for this team. And I think that the way I seen it was Alabama continued to struggle, and if the game kept going, the score was going to get wider and wider. Like I felt like Florida State could have reached 30, 40 points if they really had to, and then Bama continued to struggle. So I think I give Castellanos all the credit. That's a big time upset win. You put your team probably in the top 20 right now, and not only that, not only a team win, it's a conference win. The ACC is on the brink of fracturing and breaking up too, right? Like and they did their part. Clemson didn't beat LSU, but Florida State beat Bama, and that's what they needed, some wins like that to put under their belt.
100%. You needed that. You needed that win big, really big, and really badly for the conference. Big time game. You needed that win. But Keith, I'm gonna go to the game that I was at, man, and I highlighted this young man when we talked about it on Friday. Was it Friday? No, we broke down this game separately. I think it was like Thursday.
That was Thursday show.
Aaron Anderson, man. Just again, he's not gonna check all the physical boxes for people at the wide receiver position. But I love this kid, man. Route running, like his IQ, like and I tweeted this out. I was watching it live. I was like, maybe I'm tripping, but y'all tell me from what y'all seen on TV, Clemson was playing a lot of soft coverages. And when they did bring a safety, because they ended up losing Khalil Barnes in that game, who was that nickel safety hybrid. He ended up getting hurt, and I think he was in and out of the lineup and everything like that. So they brought in some other defensive backs, and when they did try to press, like he still got open. You know what I mean? They widened him out with his split, and he still got open, man. And he was able to just have a big time game, Keith. Because at the end of the day, and the reason why I give him my game ball, they don't win this game without Aaron Anderson. They do not win this game. 5'8", 188. He caught 6 of his 8 targets for 99 yards. They don't win without him and his ability to get open quickly. And not just get open quickly, it's the run after catch stuff too, because like they threw a lot of screens to negate that pass rush. They were like, Garrett, like I said, LSU did a great job. We're not letting you take a bunch of hits. We're not letting you hold the ball for forever. We're going to get the ball out of your hands. And they did just that. He had out of his 99 yards, 56 came after the catch. Like wide receiver tunnel screens, all that type of stuff, man. Just getting the ball to him, letting him be the chain mover. And I think this helps his draft stock as well, because at the end of the day, I think you mentioned Jamison Crowder. I said Josh Downs. There's a list of different 5'10 to 5'8 receivers that's been successful in the NFL. Don't sleep on Aaron Anderson, guys. This young man can get it done.
Yeah, DP, I went over him because I had to type his report right before the weekend. So I actually dove all the way into the film, and he a football player. Yeah, and it's two things that I liked with him. One, the IQ from the slot position. That I think if this guy only plays slot, he's a really good option as a slot because he simply knows what he's doing. Yeah. And then the other part, I don't know if you felt this way. This guy's tough and gritty, right?
Yeah,
and when
100%.
you think of LSU wide receivers, right? You're thinking of Malik Neighbors, the Jamar Chases, the Justin Jeffersons, Odell, the Jarvis Landrys. All those guys are tough. Now they come in different packages, right? Meaning that most of those guys are 6 foot plus. Aaron Anderson is like the 5'8" slot, trash talking, gritty, run you over. He
was not going down on first contact.
No, and that was the part I put. Like his body is so sturdy that he's a difficult tackle because arm tackles usually won't bring him down. He works to finish runs. And also, he's not just a guy that you're just going to run full speed into. You better break down because he's going to break you down, right? Exactly. So you have to figure some things out. So I agree with that, DP, with Aaron Anderson. And Coach DP, Coach K, we're coming back next week. But, man, that wraps up another episode, man, of the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast. I want to end this podcast off by saying shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there is my guy, my co-host, Mr. Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. And like we like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube or wherever you get podcasts to listen to the latest episode as soon as it is available. Tomorrow, guys, we'll be breaking down our top 10 updated rankings after week 1. No, we're not overreacting like everybody else. It's just week 1. But we might have some movers and shakers just a little bit. Some guys might move up a spot. Some guys might move down a spot. Just some minor alterations to the list. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.